Alright then, so in this video we're going to be fleshing out the HTML template for this project. Now we will be using some Bootstrap classes as we go along in this video, and I will try to explain them as we come across them, but I am going to go through this at some speed because I don't want the focus of this project to be on Bootstrap or CSS or HTML. I want the focus to be on JavaScript. That's what we're learning, so I will be going through this at some speed. Now, if you don't want to watch me write this out, or you don't want to write it out from scratch yourself, you can go to the GitHub repository for this course with all the course files on, get the lesson 66 branch, and get the HTML template from there. You can just copy and paste it. So then, let's start by creating some kind of top section. So I'm just going to comment each section that we do. So top section first of all, and underneath this, we want to do a div first of all. I'm also going to give certain things our own classes as well, in case we want to apply our own CSS to them in the future. So I'm going to say intro, this is our own class, but I'm also going to give this a class of py, and I'll give this a value of 3. So that gives it a padding of strength 3 in the y direction, that's up and down. I'm also going to give this a class of bg-white to make the background white, and also text-center to centralize the text. So that's that top div. Now inside here we want another div with a class this time of container. Now that's a Bootstrap class that keeps everything in a central column on the page. So it's just going to keep our text in a central column. So then inside here we'll do an h2 first of all, and that will have a class of text-primary. That makes it that kind of blue color. We'll also give this a display-3 class to make it a display text, and also my-4 to give it up and down margin of strength 4. Okay, so inside there we'll just say Ninja quiz, and let's just save this for now and preview the top section. Save, and we can see that right there. Awesome. Okay, so the next section is going to be actually the quiz section. So let's do another comment and say quiz section, and oops, we don't need the extra arrows right there. And first of all we need a div, and this will have a class of quiz. That's one of our own classes. Also py-4, so padding in the y direction, and bg-primary, which means it's going to get that blue background color. Okay, so inside this div we first of all want to do a container again. So div.container, then tab, and that's going to keep everything in that central column. Make sure we spell this correctly. And inside that container, first of all, again, I'm going to do an h2, and this is going to have a class of my-5 for a margin in the white direction, also text-white to make the text white, and we'll say in here on with the questions. Okay, so if we save and preview, let's just see how this is going. Now we can see that section. Now underneath the h2 down here, now I'm going to do the form inside this quiz section. So then, first of all, we need a form tag, and this is going to have a class of quiz-form. That's our own class. We might use this later on in the JavaScript to get a reference on this form. And also, I'm going to give this a class of text-light to give it some light text. Okay, so we don't need the action because we're going to be handling the form ourselves from the JavaScript. But inside the form, what I'm going to do is a different container or a different div tag for each question. So each one will have a div with a class of my-5. Now then, we're going to have a question first of all. So let's do a p tag for that with a class of lead. This is a Bootstrap class just to give the text a bit of style. And we'll also give it a class of fonts-weight-normal to make it normal font weight. And then inside that, I'm going to say 1, and the question will be, how do you give a ninja directions? Okay, so that's the first question. Then we need the answers. Now, the answers are going to be in the format of radio buttons. So they can choose one of several answers, maybe one of 2 answers. So the way we're going to do this is by doing each radio button in its own div. So beneath this p tag, I'm going to do first of all our first div, so div dot, and we'll do form-check. This is a Bootstrap class just to give it some styling. Then my-2, so margin top and bottom. Then text-white, and -50. So it's white text, but it gives it an opacity of 50, so it's going to appear more kind of grey on the screen. Okay, so let's press tab, and inside here we need our input field. This will be of type radio, and also this is going to have a name equal to question 1. So that's the name of the input field. It's going to have a value equal to A, because it's option A essentially. So each question is going to have a value of either A or B, right? And then we want to make this the default checked value, so we'll say checked, and that makes it the default checked value when you first load the web page. So after that, we're going to do a label for this radio button. So label, and this is going to have a class of form -check -label. Again, this is just Bootstrap styling, and we don't need the for, we'll take that off, but inside the label we'll do the actual answer, so the first answer. So I'm going to say show them a map for the first option. So this right here, this is one option. So I'm going to copy this and just paste it down here to get the second option. And the second option is going to have a value of B this time, and it's still going to be Q1 because these are both for the same question, right? But the value is different. So what happens is when we actually select a value here, once we submit it, if we try to get the value of the form field with this name, Q1, what it's going to do is get us the value of whatever input field is checked. If this one is checked, if a user's click this one, it will bring back the value B. If a user's click this one, it will bring back the value A. So we'll talk about that later on a bit more when we do the JavaScript. For now, we have these two options, but we need to update this label with a different answer. And I'll just say in here, don't worry, a ninja will find you. All right, so that's the second answer. So that's our first question. Let's save this and preview in the browser. So it looks something like this. Now we want to take off that default checked value right here because we only want the top one to be checked. So by default, this is the checked one. So that's our first question. Let's now, instead of writing all of that again, just copy this whole question right here. It starts with this div with a margin Y of 5. So let's copy that and just paste it down here. Now we need to scoot that in. So this is the second question now. So let's first of all update the question. So question number 2 is going to be quite long. So I'm just going to, in fact, paste this in from my repository. If a ninja has 3 apples, then gives 1 to Mario and 1 to Yoshi, how many apples does the ninja have left? So that's the second question. Now in the input fields down here, we need to change the name of these to Q2 because this is for question 2. The values can stay the same, A and B, because they're the two options. Then we need our different answers right here. So the first answer is going to be 1 apple, and then the second answer down here is going to be 3 apples and 2 corpses. All right, so that's our second question. Save and preview, and we can see that right here. Cool. So again, let us now paste in the question all over again. Let me copy this and paste it in down here like so, and just scoot this back a bit. So the third question is going to be, how do you know when you've met a ninja? So let's type that in. How do you know when you've met a ninja? And let's do the answers. So this time this needs to be Q3 for question 3, and Q3 over here. A and B stay the same, and the answers over here will be, you'll recognize the outfit, and the second answer is going to be, the Grim Reaper will tell you. Okay, so that's the third question done. Let's do the final question before we preview this. So scoot those in again. And question 4 is going to be, let's just delete this. 4, what is a ninja's favorite array method? And let's just spell favorite correctly. There we go. And then the first option is going to be for each. And the second option is going to be slice. I think it's obvious which is the correct answer here. And it's going to be A and B, and this is going to be Q4, and this is going to be Q4. So let's save this and preview. And now we have all of our questions right here. Cool. So just one little bit we need to do now, and that is just to create a submit button at the bottom for when a user's chosen all of their answers and they want to click on submit. So let me come to the bottom of the form. I'm going to come out of the div and then do another div with a class of text hyphen center, and inside we'll do an input. This is going to have a type of submit, and it's going to have a class right here equal to btn and also btn hyphen light. These are bootstrap classes that make it look like a button. So let's now save this and preview in the browser, and we can see that button right down there as well. So there we go, my friends. That is the HTML template done. So in the next video, what we're going to do is start to hook up this with the JavaScript and check what answers that a user selects.